Hello and welcome to Dinos. I'm Sean, and this is literally the second console I've bought purely for a Legacy of Kain game. I've been looking at getting an Evercade for quite some time. You know, when the Oliver Twins collection came out, you know, I used to be a C64 guy, so I thought, I might get one at some point. And then us Legacy of Kain fans have been eating real good this year. Finally, after 21 years, I believe it is, since Defiance was actually released, we get... Last year, I think it was last year, there was the survey, where do you want a new Legacy of Kain game? And then just the back end of this year, there has been this Evercade cartridge with Blood Omen, which I have never played before, by the way, and the first Reaver. I think these are both the PS1 versions. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what's happened. We're getting remastered Soul Reaver and Soul Reaver 2 in December. There will be a video on that. I will be getting that on day of release. And there was a graphic novel announced, and on Kickstarter, which I've obviously backed, and there are like so many rewards with it. There's like a Raziel mask, a Kain mask, loads of t-shirts. I got a couple of t-shirts. There was Soul Reaver replicas that weren't full size, or I would have been tempted to get one of them. So but yeah, this is where it all began, with Blood Omen, the Legacy of Kain. Now, what you've been seeing so far may all seem like a bunch of disconnected, garbled nonsense, but I assure you, all of this is absolutely integral to the very wide-ranging and convoluted story of the first Legacy of Kain game, Blood Omen. I have seen all of this story before. I've seen Let's Play. Funny enough, I went through all of the Legacy of Kain games on Let's Plays on YouTube a year or two ago, so I'm relatively familiar with the story of this. And if you're wondering why I'm talking all over these cutscenes, if I'm here to show it off, it's because, you know, there are already Let's Plays on YouTube that will show you all of this stuff and go through the whole game. This is more of just a kind of nice little ramble to explain what kind of game it is, why you should get it on Evercade, and just to generally share my joy over the Legacy of Kain being back after so long. The coin is still turning. God forbid we may actually get a finale, because, you know, when last we left it, an awful lot have transpired. But all of the machinations that had gone on to try to, you know, restore Nosgoth, one way or another, unleashed an ancient evil. So, you know, it would be nice to see what happened there. Where we currently are,
end it now.
That's not me sucking. That has to happen. It is integral to the plot. This is how our protagonist Kain becomes a vampire and is set on his bloody quest for revenge.
They victors, suffering to the conquered. Ironic that now I was the one suffering. Not anything as pedestrian as physical pain, rather the cruel jab of impotent anger.
And this is the kind of thing that drew me first to the Legacy of Kain.
All I wanted.
The overwrought way of writing, the dramatic style of speech and everything like that, along with everything that's going on around it. Because, like, these games are like absolutely tremendous stories. I really enjoy playing them as well. These games are absolutely tremendous story-wise. Depth of character and lore is absolutely phenomenal. Kain is played by Simon Templeton, who has also gone by lots of variations on his last name. You'll also hear there Tony J, long deceased now, but he will also play another very large character in this series. In this one, he's playing Mortanius, the Necromancer. And this is the general gameplay for Blood Omen. Awful lot to explain right from the start, so I've left I left a little bit in just to show you. So it's not just a hack and slash, it's also got kind of lots of RPG elements and stuff like that. Not necessarily traditional like JRPG elements, just like you get all these cards and they have additional abilities and stuff like that. You do level up Kain as the game goes. You can get more blood and you can get more other things. That right at the start of the game, real early on, is a mention of Janos Ordren, a character who is integral, as the story goes on, is absolutely integral to the mythos and everything that's happening here. You notice that giant green glowing thing in the corner? That's very much the button I need to press to move to the next room that I was completely missing. Give me a break. I've not played this game. I've not actually got my hands on playing this game before. I wasn't standing on exactly the tile it needed for me to pick that up there.
My life force is increased.
It's an old game. It's not you know. I think it still looks great, and from what little I've played of it, it plays pretty well as well. But you know, you've just got to understand that this game was released in the mid-90s, not 2020. Well, I mean, this cartridge was released in 2024, but this is a game from the mid-90s, so you can't really expect it to look fresh and modern. The camera does this slightly weird thing. It's constantly trying to affix Kain at a point. So whenever you turn or whenever you do that, I've cut you'll see some cuts here and there. So basically, I've cut loading screens and stuff like that. That is literally a save point. So you don't really need to see that. Yeah. So like when he turns, it will then shift the camera so Kain is in a similar position and his field of view ahead is always the same.
I had not expected such cruelty from the light. For in the embrace of the sun I could find no comfort, only malice.
This game is absolutely jam-packed in mechanics, just big and small.
When rainfall comes, vampires are wise to find shelter from its acidic.
Vampires have a long history of issues with water. So if Kain is out in the rain, it will slowly damage him. Obviously the sun, he can't be out in the sun for very long either. So yeah, this is one of the main aspects of the game. Really, you've got this great big overworld. It's not a big singular overworld. It is sectioned off. But yeah, you'll then be finding buildings, tombs and the like, going through them. It's basically a dungeon, and then you get to do some fun dungeon crawling. I think I've just about showed off every angle from which to suck a person mounted to the wall's blood at this point. I thought it was important for you to see that, I guess. But yeah, I've played a little bit of this and I'm absolutely charmed by it so far. I really, really am. So we're about to get a little puzzle. It's not incredibly tricky, but it's just showing you at this point that the panels can do different things. They can move things around. And here, you've got 3 tiles on the wall, and your path forward is blocked off completely. So you just need to figure out what sequence of 3 will open the way forward. And it's a nice easy one. Just turn off the first one. So there are, there are various puzzles. I'm not going to get to a boss.
Curious devices hurl bolts of whirling energy and eviscerate my
Say,
human
like a
enemies
sub-weapon
by
thing.
stripping ragged flesh from blood-stained
The bosses
bone.
have a bit of a puzzle element to them. I'm not going to get to any of them because that's obviously hours and hours ahead of where I am at this point. I decided to take just up to the point where the story really kicks into overdrive, and then we'll go from there. Now in here, this is what Kain's got. You can go through all of that. Everything has a little bit of dialogue that will remind you what it is and what it's supposed to do. So you can go through all the cards Kain has got. You can go through his weapon. You can go through his armor. Obviously, you get different versions of those as the game goes on. It should come as no surprise that one of those weapons is, of course, the Soul Reaver, the most legendary weapon in the game. I let them get a little close, but just kind of wanted to show off what happened when he got hit, but it didn't really do a lot. The look of this is obviously all tiled, but it all looks very purposeful. It doesn't look like stuff just chucked around for the sake of it. Like, they have, those rocks, as far as I'm aware, have no particular purpose, but they look like they do, which is really cool. It's better than just having something there for the sake of it. Thought I'd have a little bit of a look around. If there's anything back here.
Hunger and weakness are no bar to vengeance's call. I would find my slayers and send them back whence I came.
It's now time for bloody vengeance.
Victor!
It's about now that I remembered that what you need to do to get the best out of combat is you hack and slash, as you can see, but you can get them into a stunned state, at which point you can...
With my assassins dead, my quest
Kain's just going off on one. He does that from time to time. This is a very wordy game. But,
'Tis not over, Kain. These fools were merely the instruments of your murder, not the cause. Look to their masters, look to the pillars, and gain way to the fortress of the mind.
So Kain died. He has murdered his killers. But then the real story begins. Kain is told to go to the pillars. We've seen them in the distance. We've heard about them. These are the pillars. This is...
Napraptor, your madness has
this
shattered
is
our
the
dreams and blinded you.
gateway. This is effectively... They act as a balance to the land of Nosgoth. So these pillars maintain the very land in which they live. But Kain is just finding that they've been corrupted, as we saw in the cutscene right at the start. Each pillar has a guardian, and the guardians have slowly been going mad. So Kain's actual quest is to get to the bottom of the corruption of the pillars. To do that,
my murder at the hands of this beast drove my love Napraptor mad. Now
he's told
misery and pain among the
he has to go and kill each pillar's guardian and bring their trinket back and return balance to the pillars. If you know much about the Legacy of Kain games, you'll know how this ends. It ends with a choice.
Napraptor, with his blind act of vengeance, threatened to destroy all of Nosgoth. Each circle member was bonded to the pillar he served. The pillars reflected the mental state of their servants, and as the minds of the circle degenerated and descended farther into dementia, the pillars crumbled. To restore them, each member of the circle had to die, and the artifact that served as their link to the pillar had to be returned. Only when all the pillars were restored did Ariel claim my curse would end. And
Thank you, Kain. You explained
my
that
hunt for
far better
Napraptor
than I ever could.
began.
So yeah, Kat, that is Kain's story. That is Kain's arc, and by the end, Kain is given a choice on the future of the land. Soul Reaver takes place at least 1,000 years later.
You know the truth. He was mortal once.
This was the first game in the series I ever played, though technically not this version, because I had it on the Dreamcast.
My brethren.
I saw it in a shop. I thought, that looks cool as hell, and I bought it and I played it, and it was cool as hell. So this was my entry point to the series.
I have served him.
Other than the character of Kain, there are numerous other characters from the previous game, but it kind of
Divine.
it does a very, very good job of drip feeding you the information you actually need from the previous game as to why everything is the way it is now. But it's all based around, to keep it nice and simple, by and large, it is told from Raziel's perspective. Now, Raziel is one of Kain's vampire lieutenants, and as such, you know, over the millennia, they have been gaining in power, growing additional gifts,
For my transgression,
and
I
you know,
earned a new kind of reward.
Kain is not too happy with Raziel's latest mutation. Kain, as you may have noticed from the previous game, Kain walks around with an
There was only one
indifference. If maybe not an indifference, he has almost a disdain for everything he sees in the first game. And to be fair, a lot of the stuff he's seeing in the first game is pretty awful. And you could blame that on his vampirism, or you could blame that on him. But it's nice to see the old boy hasn't changed in the 1,000 years since. You dared to gain a power I don't have, did you? Well, go fuck yourself.
White-hot fire, I plunged into the depths of the abyss. Unspeakable pain, relentless agony. Time ceased to exist.
But yeah, this is the first game in the series. I mentioned earlier that the Evercade is the second console I've ever got specifically for a Legacy of Kain game. The other was the PS2, because Soul Reaver 2 came out on that. I was waiting for the Xbox to come out, so I wasn't going to get a PS2. And then, yeah, Soul Reaver 2 was, at the time, PS2 only, so I'm like, fuck it, I'll buy a PS2 then. And I had many a fun year with my PS2 as well. But yeah, if you know what happens in this, so this game is magnificently constructed, because it is both a sequel to Blood Omen. It will also reiterate the events of Blood Omen and start a fresh franchise, because it was called Soul Reaver. Technically, start a fresh franchise on its own. I mean, this had lofty ambitions, and I think it absolutely nailed it. Really, it will be wonderful if someday Blood Omen was remade in this style as well. Because obviously this is a lot more, let's say obviously, you've not actually seen any gameplay yet. When you see the gameplay, you'll see it's a lot more commercially acceptable than the the gameplay in the glorious original of Blood Omen, as much as I have been enjoying the what hour or so I've played of that so far. But this was this I was really looking forward to getting back to. Now, if I have time, the plan is I'm going to play Blood Omen and then straight through Soul Reaver before December and the Soul Reaver Remastered collection comes out, and then I'll play through Soul Reaver again and Soul Reaver 2 in that collection. But if I don't have time, I will be playing the new version of Soul Reaver the second it's released, and then I'll come back to this in the new year when I'm done with the remastered Soul Reaver 1 and 2. Yeah, the excitement. My voice may not sound it, but I cannot tell you how excited I am for the fact that the Legacy of Kain is back. It's one of my all-time favourite video game series, despite the fact there are only 5 entries, and one of those is Blood Omen 2 and is not very good. But the Blood Omen, the story which I'm already aware of, Soul Reaver 1, Soul Reaver 2, and Defiance, which is just absolutely freaking insane, are just, yeah, they're up there. But I am the type, like, all of my favourite game franchises are the ones that go away forever. I'm a big fan of this, I'm a big fan of Deus Ex, I'm a big fan of Metroid, so when people are moaning about, oh, I haven't had a game in like 3 years of my favourite series, yeah, cry me a goddamn river. I have to wait forever every time I want a new entry in one of my favourite series, and goddamn Legacy of Kain left on an absolutely ginormous cliffhanger, which is really irritating. But you know, various things happen. Amy Hennig, who was the creative behind this, Soul Reaver 2 and Defiance, went on to obviously very, very big things in the industry. So can't blame it on her. There were weird rights things for a long, long time about who actually owned the IP to this series. And then you know, there were attempts to bring it back. There was Dead Sun was one that got a ways through development. Like there was obviously the multiplayer game Nosgoth, which I didn't play because, well, it was in open beta. I think I played a little bit in there, but I'm gonna be honest, that was to a degree a bit of cutting off my nose to spite my face, because I was really pissed off at that time when that came out. I was so frustrated with video game companies telling us that the only thing they were going to make and the only thing that was worth making was fucking online multiplayer games. Because, you know, Call of Duty and everything like that was massively kicking off. So, like, oh yeah, we're going to make this narrative-rich single-player franchise. Yeah, we're just going to make that into a giant, massive multiplayer online game. And I'm like, you go fuck yourselves if you think I'm having any part of that. Want my goddamn Soul Reaver. When we got the ability to fill out the survey for Crystal Dynamics last year, I was very, very clear on what I wanted. And like, I'm even down for like the innovations between this and Blood Omen, like are massive, and even the way it's refined by Defiance, which took in elements, certainly more cinematic elements. Because one of the things about these games, they always try to be very cinematic, but like they took in cinematic elements of stuff like stuff from the time. So it's not like I'm expecting them to release another game like this. Like I've said to a lot of my friends for years, like, literally just pointed shouting at the Darksiders game saying, why is there no more Legacy of Kain? That is how you would do Legacy of Kain now. And we're several years from the last decent Darksiders game, so you know, it's even more innovations you can put in now. But I gotta keep with stuff like this, I keep myself very I understand that what I want here is frickin' niche. Like, this is a wildly dramatic, like, time-spanning, very deep lore, very complex adventure. This isn't like these are almost like soft Metroidvanias to a degree. The Raziel games, because you have to go and you gain abilities, and that allows you to access new areas and blah 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 blah. Like, oh man, a Metroidvania, 3D Metroidvania. But yeah, I understand that that is quite niche, but it doesn't have to be a AAA game. A Soul Reaver, a Legacy of Kain 6 does not have to be some like ridiculous AAA game or whatever. It can be AA or a bit below. Like, what killed Deus Ex was Square Enix's absolutely insane decision that was going to be a giant multimedia franchise, or for the Mankind Divided, it's going to be a giant multimedia franchise. Like, Deus Ex has always been niche. This will always be niche. I'm pissing around with this rule, by the way, because there's a power you get later on. I couldn't remember if you had it right from the start. I couldn't actually remember that you didn't have the Soul Reaver right from the start. I played a chunk of this for the video, and like, one of the things I was most excited for is hearing the as you're attacking with it, and I haven't got to it yet. I'm very excited to hear that sound effect again after so many years, because it has been a long time since I've played any of the Soul Reaver games. Defiance is a little easier because I've still got my original Xbox, so I played that a few times. But Soul Reaver 1, setting up the emulating the Dreamcast isn't great. Setting up my Dreamcast is worse. The lid doesn't work, so it doesn't quite keep the disc down properly or something. It's yeah, it's not great. And but I don't have my PS2 kicking around anymore, I don't think. Might be in an attic. I've still got the game, still got the physical game, but yeah, so I've got these all on Steam. I've got them, I think they're on Good Old Games as well. I have paid for them initially, but the Steam version as was of the Legacy of Kain games, the PC versions, were fucking terrible. I have tried playing Soul Reaver on that. It's absolutely dire. But it maps quite nicely to the little Evercade controller. I should maybe be talking a bit more about the Evercade, but I'm going to kind of do that as its own video. But I don't really know how to format one of them yet, because I've not really done a hardware video before. So, but yeah, as you can see, the Evercade hardware is having no real problem playing these. You know, it looks nice. It looks very nice and plays very nice. It's Blood Omen loads quite a lot, but I'm guessing this has got like a PlayStation emulator or something in it. I wanted to impale this guy on the spike in the wall. And I left this in because, like, this was full-on memory unlocked for me. Like, I don't have my blinkers on about these games. I understand they were a bit rough around the edges in places, but, like, trying to impale this dude on this thing, I'm, like, trying to do it and failing, I'm like, oh, I remember that so much from the original time I played it. Oh, the memories, the wonderful memories. But yeah, that's all I've left in of Soul Reaver, just to give you a little look and a little idea of what you're playing. Kain,
collapsing into the dust of its
Sorry,
former
Raziel
magnificence.
now has his
And
quest.
yet,
And his
I
quest,
had only
like
just emerged.
Kane's
In the
initially,
instant between my
is one of
execution and
revenge.
resurrection,
And also
centuries
like
had
Kane's,
apparently passed.
you'll rapidly come to realise that maybe everything isn't quite as it seems. Maybe everything isn't as black and white as it first appeared. But Kain is definitely a massive dickhead. So that is clear and apparent. God, I love that character so much. So yeah, go buy this and probably buy an Evercade as well because it's pretty freaking awesome. Bye.
That moment, the unraveling began. Now it is nearly played out. Nosgoth teeters on the brink of collapse. Its fragile balance cannot hold.